Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt. My name is John Egilo. I'm president and CEO of Axo Copper Corp. Very imminently changing names to Axo Metals Corp. We are a advanced stage developer in Mexico. Flagship asset now is the San Antonio Gold Project in Sonora, and we also have the exploration stage La Huerta Copper Project in Osisko State.
John, good to see you. Yeah, so it's all kind of moving quite quickly, isn't it? So we're here to kind of catch up on the acquisition, San Antonio project. What does that fundamentally do for Axo Copper, soon to be metals?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that as a company we were looking for is there areas where we have a massive strategic advantage. One thing that your investors will probably be familiar with is our group as a whole, the connection to Go Gold and Silver Tiger. We just got an open pit permit in Sonora, so a good opportunity for us obviously is find a project that we could repeat the process with, get a frankly pretty good deal on it and try to add value. So that was really the rationale for the acquisition, and what it does is it just accelerates the company much closer towards cash flow. Just the advanced stage nature of San Antonio on top of all the infrastructure on site.
Well, let's kind of get into that and explain to people exactly what San Antonio is, because this is a restart, not a greenfield. So what have you picked up?
Yeah, so San Antonio, it was actually a past producing copper heap leach from 2011 to 2018. It was acquired by the Osisko group around 2020. But between what Osisko put in and from the past producing copper operation, it's really, the asset's on care and maintenance, right? So it's certainly not a new build. And, I think of it as more of a existing mine that needs to undergo an expansion to go after a new pit. So it's predominantly gold. It's heap leach, which is, usually quite low capex to begin with, but then we also get to benefit from the fact that there's a crusher, a plant on site, heap leach pads, camp, water line. Like I mentioned, pretty much everything that would already come with an existing mine.
Look, we'll get into permits and infrastructure and all that in a second, but what is having a kind of restart project like this, or nearer term revenue story, doing in a market like this? Is it just about high metal prices that's trying to take advantage of them, or is it about the market is asking for de-risked projects?
Yeah, well, as a group, we like de-risk project. It's very much not a reaction to where the market is at the time. Certainly the market likes near-term production and the market likes cash flow at these prices. But quite frankly, this project and the grades would have made money at, pretty much any gold price environment over the past decades. The heap leach itself is about 0.8 grams per ton, very low strip. So 0.8 grams per ton heap leach at low strip has been, a moneymaker in Mexico for, decades and decades past. It certainly isn't a reaction to where the metals are. That definitely helps, but it's like I said, the margins here are quite good in these projects. Quite frankly, a lot lower grade projects, heap leach projects in Mexico have made a lot of money under much lower gold price environments.
Okay, so maybe just explain exactly what you picked up and how, because obviously you talk about that infrastructure, Brownfield, and some existing permits. And of course, there's a lot of production history data as well. How's that all? What have you got, and how's it help you?
Yeah, so what we have is, like I mentioned, it's more of an existing mine that needs an expansion. So there is a crusher on site. There's a carbon column plant on site. Actually, when Osisko was trying to amend the permit to go after the new starter pit that we would start with as well, they were actually producing gold from stockpiles in 2021, right? So everything that was used to produce gold in 2021 is still on site. And then we also get to benefit a lot from what was there from the previous open pit copper mine, which is camp, water rights, power lines, like all that. So really, it's the infrastructure is there for heap leach operation. What we have to do is there's a new starter pit called Sapuchi that was drilled off, very high grade, very low strip oxide pit. We are amending basically the permitting to go after that new pit. And the additional work would be a little bit of stripping, a haul road, and probably heap leach pad expansion. That'd be most of the work in front of us.
Right. Okay. And talk about the timing here, because obviously, market tends to reward, when companies move from exploration through to a production pathway like this, you kind of get these re-rates. You've had a good run of it over the past, since the beginning of the year. What more is to come, and what's the time frame?
Yeah. So time frame, I'd say, I guide similar to what our group just did with Silver Tiger. So we started working with the new administration in the fall of 2024 to get the permits for Silver Tiger, and that took a year. The new permits were announced in November of 2025. So again, I'd remind people it's the same group and quite importantly, the same state. And we're working with the same state authorities as we were with Silver Tiger. So, my rough guideline would be if it took Silver Tiger a year, give us kind of give us the same time frame. Knowing that we put permits in front of the government when we closed on the acquisition of San Antonio, which was this past January. So, if the year clock started in January, I'd say give us 2026 to go out and get the permit. The build itself, like I mentioned, it's probably it's like inheriting a heap leach mine that's already 70% built, so it'd be quite quick compared to a new build. Again, we'll come up with a PEA and a first look at a mine plan later this year, probably in the end of the summer. But the build itself, would be far less than a year. Probably something like between 6 months and 9 months, something in that range.
So, like, I get the kind of near-term revenue will kind of fund, resource expansion, drilling, and construction of a CIL plant or flotation, whichever you choose. But you're significantly advanced, 70% built already. So, but you are going to have to raise some money to kind of build this thing out. Where's that going to come from?
Yeah, well, fortunately with, what we're going to be facing us, and again, I don't want to front run the studies, but not surprisingly, we're going to be faced with a capex bill that is, quite small. Again, look at what other heap leach projects are being built in Mexico. I believe Silver Tigers is guided to, just over 100 million right now. And like I said, we already have most of the infrastructure on site. So, we just read the tea leaves. I don't think it's going to be a particularly big number. We just raised 40 million Canadian. Those warrants, importantly, have an accelerator on them. So if warrants trade in the money, we can actually trigger an accelerator, and that brings in another 28 million Canadian. So, what we have left is not going to be a substantial amount, and we'll be able to really pick and choose how we finance it. I'd say that bite size of in the tens of millions of dollars from lenders is it's not something that is particularly difficult to get. There's a lot of lenders and a lot of groups that are interested in financing it. So we'll be able to choose. But I'd guide towards probably the financing to have some kind of debt instrument with it.
Okay, interesting. So this is going to what we're saying to investors that there's going to be a very capital light route to production, and it's like a staged development curve to it. So let's look at the answers that we've got, and how you kind of get after it. Obviously, I'm not sure you mentioned the resource size. Have you?
There is a resource. Yeah, sorry, I haven't mentioned yet. It's 1.1 million ounces, and that's split between oxides at 0.8 grams and the sulfides are about 1.2 to 1.3 grams. That range.
Right. Okay. So what are you going to offer us guidance as to how you're getting after? I get the kind of pit expansion and finding more ounces, etc. But what are your plans beyond 1.1 million ounces?
Yeah, the project already as it stands is quite substantially bigger than 1.1 million ounces. That's a resource that we inherited, which was done up in 2021 off of a $1,700 gold price. So already without, any additional drilling, I think you'd see quite a substantial lift just on modeling it, using more recent gold prices or what you see in other reports. And on top of that, I'd also flag that resource was done after Osisko did 1 year of drilling, right? They saw something, a substantially larger gold system, as do we. So this was kind of like a first pass resource put together off of 1 year of drilling. It was the maiden resource, was 1.1 million ounces. So there's a lot of room to grow, not just on refreshing the gold price, but through the drill bit. And that's one thing that we're doing this year. So while we're doing the permitting and engineering and really everything required to get a build, we're also going to be quite aggressively doing resource expansion drilling into some areas that are very, very high priority and look very good, but just have not seen a drill bit, ever in the company, in the project's history.
Okay, so currently, I guess the market's pricing this as a kind of small restart. You're saying there's a much bigger system to get after, and you're prepared to fund that not out of cash flow, but existing funds. So can you, again, have you given guidance about what that drill plan could look like in terms of meters or dollars?
Yeah, the drill plan so far is 30,000 meters. That is, but pending success in certain areas, our drill cost is only about $200 a meter US, right? So, and we just raised 40 million Canadian. So part of the rationale of overfunding this program was, pending success, if we find something that warrants additional drilling, we can expand by another, need be 20, 30,000 meters as required without having to go back to the market for financing if the exploration and step out drilling is looking very, very good.
Right. Okay. Obviously, in the background, we've also got La Huerta exploration as well. So how do you divvy up the cash in terms of exploration?
Really, so far on La Huerta, even bringing in San Antonio, nothing has really changed down there. We're still actively drilling at La Huerta and have been, frankly, for the whole time. So what we're doing at La Huerta this year is, again, it's not very expensive to drill down there. So keeping one drill rig parked down there for some of the recent drilling hasn't been a big expenditure for us. We've been, putting out some deeper holes. We don't have assays back on them yet, but most of the drilling at the project was about 200 meters and above, like 200 meters and closer to surface. The latest drilling has been 300, 400, 450 meter deep holes as we try to just figure out how big the system is and see what it looks like at depth.
Okay. And I mean, some of the other things which are going to affect margins, etc. Obviously, metal prices doing its thing for everyone. A lot of historical data in terms of recoveries on the network. Are you going to look to try and improve those and cutoffs and all that sort of good stuff?
Yeah, at San Antonio, so far the recoveries, all the metallurgy that's done look pretty good. Like the resources run off. The metallurgy work that was put into the resource suggested a 70% recovery on the heap leach, 90% recovery on the sulfides. I think there's quite a bit more room to optimize that, hopefully make it look better, and particularly the recovery on the sulfides, because it wasn't studied for flotation. It was really only studied for leaching. What we're doing right now as we're doing the engineering work is, the metallurgy right now is more so focused on that heap leach starter pit, because that's where we're going to be going first. So, we'll look to translate those bottle roll tests, which is what went into the old recovery number, into column tests, just to get a more concrete idea of if there's different areas of the pit that provide different recoveries and so. Like we're just basically doing detailed build ready network now, but everything in the past suggests the network is clean.
Okay, and obviously, like, people look at this and say, well, like, you're an exploration team now moving into kind of build phase. You can pull on expertise across the group, etc. And so, can you just kind of break that down for people there and say, right, okay, we're looking at the restart. So that's a kind of build and then operate team, and then you still get the exploration. So how are you managing all of that, and have you got enough people?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say we're the group, the Axo, as it stood up until we acquired San Antonio, was very much more of a lean exploration team. Quite frankly, as I think things should be. Like, I'd prefer to have dollars being spent in the ground in Mexico than just a big management team. But with the acquisition of San Antonio, of course, we've moved much closer towards first production. Sorry, we'll have to edit that. I was saying about the team, of course, since we acquired San Antonio, we've now rapidly changed ourselves from an exploration team into a developer. And like you mentioned, we have been able to draw, it's been no issue for us because we can draw across the entirety of the group for expertise. But I will say, the way that specific Axo team looks right now, if we were in the middle of a build phase, you would see some added members with more specific build expertise as opposed to just geology and exploration expertise. So I'd say, with the acquisition only kind of 2 months behind us now, or 3 months behind us, I'd say just give us a little bit of time, and the build team will probably look a little bit different than the way the Axo team looks today.
Right, and I say obviously people would be able to see what you're doing on the ground and advancing things forward. But in terms of the kind of standard ways that people judge you in terms of resource and economic studies and about the cash availability, cost of that capital, etc. How should people start to judge you this year? Because it's a kind of it's a hybrid thing at the moment, and it's early stages, but you kind of got to get into this routine, and people need to be able to judge you. So how will they do that?
Yeah, I mean, one, if we're talking about judging on valuation, is you can look at the value, and we'll be able to help people out when it comes with the PEA, but you look at the sheer value in the round of, how much high grade open pit at, right now we're 1.1 million ounces. It's going to get bigger, even like I mentioned, just refreshing the gold price, but just look at where we trade on valuation. And then, is that a fair place we should be trading? Like, I frankly don't think so. And, I think of why do companies who, even if they do have a very valuable project, why do they trade at a discount? Typically it's because, there's massive barriers between them and production. Maybe they're in an area where, they don't have the ability to get it permitted. Maybe the CapEx is going to be $2 billion, so they have no path forward to financing, and they can sit around and trade at a steep discount forever. With us, there is a path forward. Like, all these milestones that we have in front of us between now and first production are things that the group has done before and will do again, and has, even most recently with the Silver Tiger permit, has been able to show the market that we do it. So I'd say, yeah, just the value of what we have right now, I think we're in line for quite a substantial re-rate. And then on top of that, I think that some of the best catalysts for us this year are going to be, through the drill bit. Of course, people want to see advancements on permitting and engineering, but, I think we have a lot to show people about, just what we see from the geology on this project, about how much bigger it is than 1.1 million ounces.
Okay, well, let's say we'll give you time to kind of, gather pace, and maybe come back and sort of update us on all of the above. But I do want to talk about Osisko, right? Obviously, they have retained some equity exposure to this. So, is this an offloading exercise for them, or is it let's have someone who actually move the thing along in a way that we're not?
It's handed over, and frankly, I think if Osisko actually wanted to offload it, I mean, the deal was all stock up front, and even the cash milestone payments, like, those don't come until it's in first production, right? So if Osisko actually wanted to offload it, they probably wouldn't have taken all stock up front, right? I think some of the rationale for that deal is, we'll get paid on the upside as Axo advances, the project that we had, because, they were the initial buyers of the project, right? Like, they see a lot of the same things we do, especially on resource growth and resource size. So yeah, I think they're focused on other things right now. They've done like $1 billion raised to build Caribou. That's kind of the main path going forward. But, I think they still want exposure to San Antonio project, just, maybe not diverting some of their time to it as they're, basically full on build mode at Caribou.
Okay. Now, I just think it's an important one to kind of cover off in case people think there's some kind of overhang on the stock. What you're saying firmly is, no, there's a strong structure to the deal, which suggests that they're behind you and backing you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and look, if Osisko wanted out and they wanted just all cash up front like that, that's probably how the deal would have been structured, quite frankly. Obviously, access and capital in the back of the deal for us to get cash wasn't an issue. It was everyone's preference, ours and theirs, that they participate on the upside of us running with the project.
Okay. Well, John, appreciate the catch up, and I know we have seen you more recently than perhaps the interviews would suggest. So we knew it was sort of heading the right direction. Nice to see this thing moving. Nice to see you've got the cash to deliver it as well. So stay in touch.
Yep. Thanks, Matt.